Hello everyone and welcome to France. We are currently in Belle-Île-en-Mer in the Ultimate Fishing headquarters. My name is Sietze. Apologies in advance for the very Dutch name and very Dutch accent. And today we're in the showroom where all our new products for the next year are displayed. And I'm going to talk you through some of the new products, some of the existing products that got a new color, a new size, and some other very exciting things. The first one, and probably the most anticipated one in the UK, you all obviously know and are very fond of the Megabass Super Spindle Worm. It already exists in a 4-inch and a 5-inch, the most popular one in the UK for fishing it weightless, weedless on the Texas eels or on a VJ36 Violence head from Decoy, is the 5-inch. And by popular demand, we have listened, there will be a new 6-inch version coming out very soon. It's expected somewhere around this February. Like I said, it's 6-inch for size, the difference between the 5 and the 6. The 6-inch will be available in a multitude of colors, both the natural ones for your bass fishing and also some very flashy ones, mainly for European Xander style fishing. And it will be weighing 21, almost 22 grams, which will make it absolutely perfect for your estuary fishing, your shallow reefs, to fish it completely weightless and still get some good casting distance. So I'm guessing for the UK, this is probably one of the two most exciting products for next year. After the spindle worm, one of the lures that has been requested a lot the last period is the Zenith Z Claw. Unfortunately, as most of the fishermen in the UK and in France as well know by now, for the last couple of years the Z Claw has been incredibly hard to get hold of. And the last 2 years there has even been absolutely no deliveries. Unfortunately, Z Claw has probably ceased their activities in the fishing industry for now, and with their permission we have purchased the molds and the exact same materials, and it will now be known as the Z Claw Evo. It will be available from the second week of December. Like I said, absolutely nothing has changed. The material of the plastic is the same. The action is the same. We thoroughly tested it, so even if it's the same molds, there's always a risk of something changing. I'm not completely honest there. Something has changed, and that's only in a good sense. They used to be equipped with decent trebles, but from now on, because we have a greater control of the production, they will be equipped with the same Decoy YS21 trebles you all know and love from our Patchinkos and estuaries and other lures. Same as the split rings, they will be from Decoy as well. So for the same price and actually even a slightly lower RRP, it will be the same lure you know and love, a very easy walk the dog type bait. For most people, they don't need any introduction, which means they are back in a multitude of very nice colors. This being the white one. And after the addition of the formerly known as Zenith Z Claw Evos to the Xorus range, there is more news on the Xorus front. In particular, 2 new colors in the Xorus range. I'm holding the Frosty here, but it will be available in more of the products. One, definitely going to be a big hit in the UK, is the matte white. The name says it all. It's a white, but a completely matte version. So when you still want to fish white but clear water, matte lures have gained in popularity anyway in the UK and everywhere else. There's a nice red cup mouth. Further than that, it's just a white matte lure for a little bit more spooky fish. The second one in the matte range is the matte Iwashi. Iwashi, doesn't matter how you want to produce it. Iwashi is Japanese for sardine, as you can see with the typical spots. So this is a matte sardine. To complement the matte Lanson, the matte Sandyll we already have, and the Ghost Iwashi, the other sardine colored topwaters. Even further up in the UK, or if there's not too much sardines around, for some reason a white and blue lure, you can hardly go wrong with those. For 2025, there will be a lot of products returning that are previously discontinued, such as the Z Claw we just discussed. Another one that will be back in a slightly different version is the formerly known as Megabass custom bag. Now it's the Ultimate Fishing custom bag. Unfortunately, Megabass ceased production, but they are very popular. So we decided to continue the production. For the people who know it and maybe worn out theirs, they don't need too much introduction, but it is a very well thought out and very well designed waste bag for your lure fishing. There's a big compartment, it fits a couple boxes. There's a Velcro bit here at the top and a removable Velcro divider in the middle. So if you want your soft plastics and your hard plastics divided. If you're keeping it on you and you're switching and swapping a lot of lures, you don't want to use the zipper. You can just clip the Velcro there and just easily enter and exit and close the lid of it. In the front, there's a mesh compartment. Perfect for all your leaders, your snaps, your terminal tackle, your snacks, your Jaffa cakes. Then there's a bit of molly style webbing. You can put your pliers on there, you can put whatever you'd like on there. The lumbar support or the hip straps are very wide, so even on a heavier load it will still offer the right support. For the people using a boga grip or a similar style fish grips, there's a D-loop here to attach it safely. If you only want to use the sling, which you can use both, and you don't want to use these, behind here is a flap. You can actually stuff your the straps on the side and just use it as a sling bag basically. If you want to use both, this one you can take off as well if it's not too heavy. If it's very heavy, you bring a lot of jigheads and other heavy lures, you can just use both. So back from Ultimate Fishing this year, the custom bag. In the same luggage range and also the same story basically, a very popular, small but genius and very useful product. Used to be Megabass as well. It's the famous clear pouches. Same story basically, discontinued and we continued the production. Almost nothing has changed, same as with the bag. The only thing that has changed is the price, which is a bit more affordable right now. These are very simple but very clever bags you can use for a multitude of things. The small one you can use for some jigheads, for whatever you like. My two favorite ones are the large and the medium. In particular the large, for your boat bag or if you use a waterproof roll top bag and you want to bring some spare soft plastics, just keep your packaged soft plastics together with your rigged ones. If the fish tear one off, if you're catching some wrasse, it's easy to dig in, and if you use a buckan or a boat bag, it's not going to be completely littered with half-opened plastic, soft plastic pouches. So there you go, that's the large one. The medium one in particular has a mesh backer, as you can see. It's perfect to keep all your small terminal tackle, your split rings, your swivels, your snaps, whatever you like. On the bigger compartment I tend to keep my Fluorocarbon. Again, very nice product, back in stock very soon. The next new product is actually not a new product in the Ultimate Fishing lineup, but it is a new product for Gwinear Angling. It's the Hyperlastics Sandyll. Hyperlastic is a brand from the States by Patrick Sebille, which you might know from his previous brands with the slide swimmer, the Sebille brand basically. Now he runs the company Band of Anglers, which make, for example, these lures with Hyperlastic. The Hyperlastic means that they are virtually indestructible. It's a TPE elastomer plastic, you know, from your net rig fishing. It's a bit stiffer, a lot stiffer actually than most of your typical net rig baits. They come pre-rigged and they are pretty well designed and very easy to fish. They come just, like I said, plug and play, take a package, open it, tie it on your line and go fishing. For example, on the back, for the design, on the back of the lure where the hook sits, there's a big slit where the hook can almost completely come out of. Looks a bit silly if you haven't seen it before, but it actually has a few advantages. To begin with, if you would rig it like you'd normally do, with the hook completely, the hook shank completely inside of the body of your soft plastic, the movement on your tail is very constricted by doing so. If you open it and give it free space, your soft plastic has a lot more wiggle room, so to say. Besides having a better action, your hookups are also better and they last a lot longer. As most of you who are avid soft plastic anglers probably know, it's always the back of the lure here which tears open. And that's mainly because if you hook a fish and if you're fighting a big fish, the flesh of the hook, the flesh of the fish is pressing down on the plastic here. Here, if you hook a fish, the complete bend is exposed, so it won't be in contact with any of your soft plastic, risking tearing it out. Also, if you are rigging it like this, quite often if you miss a bite, it will be folded over the tail, because if a fish comes from behind, there's no other way than forward. By having it low like this, if a fish comes from behind, it will quite often just completely push away the lure down below, and the chances of a proper hookup and not getting your lure back with the tail folded around the hook point is a lot bigger. Super nice product, especially for your bass fishing, due to the plastic, also definitely for your wrasse fishing, your pollocking, your general things that like to eat a sandeel. Hyperlastics Sandyll coming to Gwinear very soon. Another new addition to the range at Gwinear Angling is the Duo Bayruff Minnow Bayruff Shed. It's a fairly new bait in general. It came out earlier this year. We're in the end of 2024 at the moment. And it's technically created, as the name Bayruff suggests. It's a big lineup of Duo with other hard baits and soft plastics for your typical bay fishing in Japan. It's made for sea bass, Japanese sea bass, bass for you guys, rock fishing, for scat, for mabaru fishing, which is like a small type of bream type thing, rockfish. But in Europe, they are absolutely amazing for your freshwater, but also your saltwater like rock fishing. It's a very unique little slug type bait, which comes with these special jigheads who have two wings on them. Paired together, I've tested it with loads. With other jigheads, it doesn't do what it does. It has an amazing darting action. Darting jigs are not something new. The Megabass X layer flat side down with a Decoy SV67 does a similar darting thing as well, and especially the light rock fishers who are watching will know darting fishing. Some darting lures are quite harder to fish. Duo tested these very extensively to make sure that with this combination, everyone can fish darting. If you see these in the water, you'll be convinced immediately for your smaller bass fishing, for your light game fishing, for your wrasse fishing. Wrasse, sometimes when they're quite aggressive, really like a darting jighead, darting soft plastic. And it is an amazing and very fun way to fish on light tackle. And with this, basically anyone can catch fish. The soft plastics, the bodies exist in multiple colors. The jigheads obviously exist in multiple weights. For next year, for your actual bass anglers, there is some bigger sizes coming to the range as well. They're not being produced in Japan yet, but it will be on the agenda very soon. And I'm talking about a 4 and a 5-inch version. For those, you will have to wait a little bit longer, but these you will find at the shelves in Gwinear Angling very soon as well. Hi everyone, we're back at the showroom. It's still Sietze from Ultimate Fishing. We went fishing with the guys from Gwinear. This morning we passed through the showroom. We showed them all the beautiful new products which they've taken on and will arrive in Cornwall very shortly. After this morning's fishing, they asked me to highlight our Ultimate Fishing's basically favorite end tackle. Braid, leader and snaps basically. Our number one bestseller and within the team the most popular braid is the formerly known as YGK. YGK is one of the most famous and biggest Japanese braid and leader producers. In line with a global rebranding, they are from now on known as X-Braid. So this is the X-Braid Upgrade X8. As the name suggests, it's an 8 braid. It is extremely thin woven. With hardly any coating. So this is a line that is very smooth, extremely thin for its diameter, and it will stay very thin for a very long time. So instead of fixing the problem with the coating, like a lot of the lines from the States and from Europe as well, you open the box, you think, that's a very nice and smooth line. After spooling it, your whole rod turns green, orange, pink, the color of your braid basically. So they hold their color extremely well, and because there's per centimeter or per meter, the amount of weaves is a lot higher than other lines, it will stay as well. It knots extremely well, in particular with FG knots, and it's very abrasion resistant for the diameter as well. It doesn't hold water either, so it's just one of our favorite lines. There is 3 diameters that are the most popular ones. The Japanese don't do millimeters. Luckily in the UK, not like Europe, you don't do millimeters either, or not as much. So my favorite for my lighter fishing, so my light, smaller surface lures, S3 110, Patch 125, weightless soft plastic over fairly clean ground or from the boat, is the PE1, which is the 22-pound version. For my most all-round shore fishing, boat fishing, basically the diameter I use the most is the PE1, which is 1.2. The PE 1.2 is the 25-pound version. Then if it gets a bit nasty, a bit gnarly, or if we're fishing cranking big soft plastics like the Match Shed 130 from the boat and we expect very hard bites with stiffer rods, I will go to the 1.5, the 30-pound. It's still an extremely thin line compared to most other brands with the same breaking strain. It's a lot thinner than you're used to seeing. But this one is for, like I said, for your wrasse fishing, for super rough ground, oyster beds, when you just need a really super strong powerhouse, but still in a thinner package than you're used to if you're using different brands in this breaking strain. Obviously, onto your braid, you're gonna tie a leader. As the guys from Gwinear found out, in France we fish our leaders a little bit different. I'm not French, I'm Dutch, as the accent suggests. But I've started to change my way of fishing as well, because it just makes a whole lot of sense. So in France we use very, very long leaders, and I'm talking 15 to 20 feet, sometimes even longer. That has a couple of reasons. First of all, those leaders are very thin. From the shore fishing, 10 pounds which is in our brand, in the Nitlon, we're going to talk about in a second. I'm talking about 0.27 millimeters. It's an extremely thin diameter for most bass fishermen in the UK and in Europe as well. But in France and Brittany, the guys have seen it. It's full of scallops, oysters, mussels, barnacles. It's not much less abrasive or gnarly than the spots in the UK are. So why these very long leaders? First of all, the longer leaders give you a little bit more stretch. So when you're fishing with 10 pound instead of your 25 or 20 pound that you're used to, it's a bit more of a cushion on a hard hook set. But in particular, the theory is that if you're a 10 pound or your 12 pound or maximum 14 pounds leader will get cut off under pressure of a fish or a snack, even the 20 pound will be cut off as well. If you're just fishing your average 70 centimeter to a meter leader and you have a drop off or some snacks and the fish is running through them, it's a very big risk for your braid. Your braid can't handle much rocks at all, as you know. So they prefer, or we prefer, to go with a thinner leader, but much, much longer, to keep it away from all your snacks and therefore protect your braid at all costs. The longer leader also allows it to be thinner, and you have no problems even with several turns on the spool. It's a funny thing actually, if you look at some of our YouTube videos from now on, most of them have an English subtitles. And if you listen when they're landing a fish, you should try to listen when you hear the leader not pass through the guides. More often than not, you can't see the fish yet, or it's still all the way out there. So you get an idea of how long we fish our leaders. Also, if you put on the translation, in particular, there's a video with my coworker Romain. He's fishing the dark sleeper from the boat, and he's explaining it's quite gnarly ground, so he needs a really heavy leader. And what does he do? He switches to 14 pound instead of 10 pound. So it's a bit of a different world out here, but the coastline looks so much like the UK, and on my trips to the UK, I fished loads of 10 pound, 12 pound, and maybe once or twice 14 pound without any issues at all. Our most popular one, been for years, it's been well known in the UK as well, is from YGK, nowadays X-Braid, the Nitlon DFC. It is an incredible value for money leader. It's a very high-end, crystal clear fluorocarbon on big spools. This is very un-French, the 30 pounds, but the most popular ones in the UK are still the 18, the 16, the 20, the 25, those diameters, but even thinner. You get 100 meters for just over 20 quid, which is extreme value for money for a pure-blooded Japanese fluorocarbon. Then on the end of your fluorocarbon comes, in some cases, a snap. We've been fishing this morning and the guys first asked me, why are you not putting on a snap? Especially within France, but also within the company, and I've stopped doing it as well. For soft plastics, when it comes to saltwater fishing, we will rarely to never use a snap. First of all, we use long leaders, so cutting it back doesn't hurt as much as when you're using shorter leaders. But the main reason for this is the risk of catching debris, weed, problems with opening, with forgetting to close them. Bass can be finicky, in particular with swimming soft plastics like an X-layer or a spindle worm. They tend to shy away in clear water from lures that collected weed. If you're still using your 20 and your 25 pound leader, I would advise to use a rapala knot or a loop knot. If you cut it real close, it will still collect less debris, weed than a snap will do. So snaps, I'm still holding a bag of snaps because we don't use them in soft plastic, doesn't mean we don't use them at all. In particular for our hard bait fishing, for our topwaters, for our minnows, 110s, kegaloos, tight minnows from Dio, we will always use a snap. There's one snap in 2 sizes in particular, 3 sizes that it's the most popular. It's from Decoy, the Egg Snap. For the smaller lures, we use size 2, so that's your Patch 110, 125, your S3 110. For the bigger ones, we use a size 3. Same as for the smaller tight minnows or a small megabass, kegaloo or smaller lure. We use size 2, maybe 3. For the big lures, the proper long tight minnows for the surf fishing, the bigger topwater, we will go with the size 4. It's a super strong snap. It has a very, as the name suggests, it's a bit of an egg shape, so it will allow your lure maximum movement, and it's in the whole team unanimously the #1 favorite snap. And that's us done, and we go rest fishing. First part, keep a very slack line, so don't lose any bit before you prevent swing back.